Hello coders. So this video is a continuation of previous video about this related problem in JavaScript basically. So if you have not watched that video, I do recommend that you watch that video first before coming to this video, because this is a built up on top of that video. So this will be again a complicated interview question when it comes to this uses in your JavaScript. So in here, I have a simple object, as you can see, constant user. So this user is having information about a specific user. So name is Ram and age as 20, and I have a function as well, get info. So that will be returning me simply a string with this related information. So as you can see, in line number 8, I have a constant again declared with user details, and that will be giving me user related information by calling get info function. If you have been through the previous video, you will get to know get info is being called by using user object. So obviously it will return me this value as this object value. So for example, if I am referring age, then user object is having age as 20, so it will be returning me 20. So user details will be having age is 20. So let me run this one so that you can see the output. Oh, it's failing. User details is not a function. So what am I doing wrong? So user details, user dot get info I am calling, which is a function, and I'm trying to call this one. So that is just a mistake. So you should not be calling a string, because this is simply returning a string. So I should not be calling a string. That is why it is complaining out. So I have removed that one. So if I will resave, then you can see it's outputting age is 20. So if you have been through the previous video, then you better be aware why this behavior is happening, because I am simply calling this dot age by using user object. So that is the reason it is giving me output as 20, which is part of this user object. That is very simple, right? Now let's comment this out. Okay, and I will enable the second line. So here what I am doing, I'm simply giving the reference of user info to another variable, user details. I have changed the way I am using that variable. So rather than executing the function by giving a pair of parentheses, I am simply giving the reference of that function to this particular variable. Now if I will save this one, what would be the output? So you can see it's simply outputting the function. So now I don't have that execution happening, because I am simply returning the function reference to this variable. So in order to execute that one, I can simply give a pair of parentheses, and I will be resaving this one so that it will run. So age is undefined. Why so? Because I am calling this one by using window reference. If you are aware about the previous video, then simply I am calling this user details, which is having reference of get info function, and I am calling that using window reference. Let me make it little bit complicated. So I will be switching it off and I will be enabling this one. So I am having a constant details of user. Okay, this is another constant with user details dot bind user. So what I am doing here, so user details is having the function reference of get info. This is not a function, so this is a function reference, right? So this is having, if you will output this one, you have seen that it's outputting the function. So bind will be giving you another function as output, and it will change the context of that function to a specific object. So in this case, if you will see, if I will run this one, you can see it's outputting 20. This is as similar as this one, this statement. So I'm stating user dot get info, that will be outputting, pointing to user object and outputting 20 as the output. And similarly, if I'm taking user details and binding that to explicitly with user object, that is also giving me a function reference, and that will be outputting the output as 20. Now if I will advance it further, simply I will wrap this inside a pair of console log statement, and let me complete this by wrapping it inside a console log statement. So you can see it's again outputting 20. Why so? Because user details is a reference to a function, and I am calling that one by using user object. So again, I am only changing the way I am calling that function, but I am simply binding that user details function with user object context. So that is why it is outputting 20 as the output. And the same thing if I will do it here. So if I will take simply user details, as you are aware, it will output me the function. So that means user details is having function reference. So if I will try to output this one, then simply I need to put a pair of parentheses. So if I will run this one, then you can see it's outputting undefined. Why so? Because it's being called by using your window context. So window is not having any kind of age variable defined. That is why it is outputting undefined. Now, for example, if I will be putting some variable, maybe var, then I have age equal to 30. Right? Now, if I will try to run this one, would you think it will output? Yeah, it will output because it is having that this object available as part of your window context, and you are calling that function by using window context. That is why it will result in the same output from window context. Let us see by debugging how it will be behaving in case of a browser. I will be switching on my developer tools, and I will try to remove all the unnecessary codes as of now. Basically, I will be capturing the reference of your getInfo function to a variable. Then I will be trying to bind that with user object explicitly, and then I will try to get the output by using user details. Okay, and I can have one more statement here, console.log. Then I will try to get output of details of user. Okay, so details of user is again a function reference. So if I will try to execute this one, we will see how it behaves. Okay, and the last but not the least, we will be again taking user details, which is again a function reference, and I will try to call that function reference by using call function directly and attaching that with user object. So simple. So I have three scenarios to test out. So let me run this one, and you can see I have a debugger here. So let me expand this one so that it will be clearly visible to you. Now my parser is in first line where age equal to 30. So age is undefined because this is the execution phase, and already in creation phase it has been initialized with default value undefined. Now if I will try to run this one further, then it will be initialized with user object, and as this is a constant, for constant and let based variables, it will be having a separate scope by having it in script. So you can see constant user is having value unavailable because the parser has not yet crossed through that particular section. So the moment it will cross through that, then you can see user is already initialized inside our script. Right? Now you have details of user still value unavailable because details of user is again a constant and user details is again a constant. So until and unless it will be passed through, it won't be having the value available because this is the execution phase, and in creation phase they have been initialized with this value unavailable and value unavailable because there is a separate area in compiler that will be initialized with value unavailable. Right? So now if I will go through that, then you can see it has been initialized with user details, and this will be a function reference. I'm not executing getInfo function. I'm simply giving the function reference to user details. That is why it is coming as function, type as function. Now we have one more variable left out, details of user. So if I will run it through, then you can see details of user is again a function reference. So we have two function reference, user details and details of user. Now if I will go and run directly user details, then as of now there is no output in console window. So here if I will go and run that directly, then user details is executed with Windows code, right? So if I will try to run user details, then what would be the output? 30, because 30 is something that is available in your Windows scope, not 20. 20 is inside your user scope. So because 30 is available in Windows scope, it has taken that this reference from window based variable. If you will see right side, there is already a variable called age initialized with 30 as part of your execution. So that is why it has taken that as 30. Now next, details of user is again a function reference. Now details of user is again being called using your Windows scope, right? Now if I will clear this off and I will come here, then let me run this. So what did you think? What would be the output? 20. So why 20? Because details of user is bind with user object explicitly. So because it has been explicitly bound with user object, it will give you value inside your that specific object. So that is why it is outputting as 20. Now last but not the least, I will be clearing this off and I will try to execute the final line. So you can see, like calling this user details, which is again a function reference, and I am trying to call that function reference using user object, same as the previous line. So you can see it's outputting again 20 because we are trying to attach the user details function with user object, which is nothing but similar to this one only, where you are explicitly binding a object by using bind function, or you are attaching a function explicitly with an object. Both will be outputting the same thing. So here in this case, you understood about how call will be used to call a specific function reference, how bind is used to output a function reference with a specific object attached as part of its process. So if you like the video, please do like, share and subscribe. If you like more of such kind of video, then please comment me so that I will be coming up with more such video. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye.